Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight, it's Monday evening. We have a football game kicking off in a little over an hour. We're going to go over the Week 14 waiver wire report and get this to guys. We're going to get it out for you guys so you guys can use it all throughout the day on Tuesday. If you're watching this video, don't forget to like, subscribe. We're almost to 600 subscribers, so that does help the channel grow tremendously. So consider doing that for me. And then let's get right into the report here. We're going to basically go over all the injuries. We'll go through all the positions, and we'll look at defenses at the end here. There is a link in the description if you guys want to follow along. And because I'm recording this on Monday night, there's probably going to be more news throughout the day tomorrow. So I will be updating this throughout the day, Tuesday as well. So let's just hop right into it, starting with the injuries to monitor. And there were a ton of injuries yesterday, especially at the quarterback position. You have Lamar Jackson. I have him listed as doubtful for Week 14 with the knee injury. He's pretty much been ruled out. Like, they signed Brett Hundley today to back up Tyler Huntley. So not going to be Lamar Jackson this weekend. If you're depending on him, you need to find another quarterback for at least Week 14. Potential for Week 15 return. We have the Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. It looked like he hurt his ankle. He was able to play through it a little bit. I have him listed as probable, but just note that it's probably going to pop up on the practice report this week. The biggest one was Jimmy Garoppolo out with a broken foot. He's out for the season. Not only does this hurt for fantasy football, but this severely dampens the 49ers Super Bowl chances, as I don't know if a third string quarterback's ever won a Super Bowl for a team. But here we are, Jimmy Garoppolo. This is going to hurt. This is going to hurt Debo. This is going to hurt Ayuk, Kittle. It might even hurt McCaffrey a little bit. I know Purdy played pretty well yesterday, but we'll talk about him more on the quarterback situation. And then Matthew Stafford, if you guys are holding on to him in redraft leagues, you could probably let him go. We're not going to see him anymore the rest of the season. The Rams pretty much holding up the white flag. It looks like they're on coast for the 2023 offseason, getting their vacation plans put together. At the running back position, we know Joe Mixon didn't play for the second straight week, out with a concussion. I'm going to list him as questionable for Week 14, but I think he's more probable. He was getting limited practices in last week, and I think he just, for some reason, wasn't able to clear. So he should be cleared this week, good to go for Week 14. Another massive injury here. I'm not really sure what the outlook's going to be, but they've already ruled Kenneth Walker out with an ankle injury. Haven't really been giving too much information on this. It was super vague when Pete Carroll talked to the media today, but with an ankle injury, he's going to be out. We also had some injuries to DJ Dallas right here with an ankle injury. They're kind of saying it's kind of like a high ankle sprain. So I don't know who's going to be the Seahawks starting running back this weekend. That's going to probably be the guy that we talk about when we get to the running back situation. But then you have Michael Carter, questionable with that. It's not a high ankle for Carter. It's kind of a low ankle sprain, but he's listed as questionable here. I would say he's likely to play, but we'll monitor his practice reports. He would basically take Ty Johnson out of the mix for flex. We'll see about Damian Harris. He missed last week with a thigh injury. J.K. Dobbins is coming back. He's got the knee injury, but expect him to be activated maybe this week. See him start practicing. I'm not saying we're going to start him in Week 14. It's his first game back, but he might be a guy. If he's available, stash him on your bench, see what happens. And again, we'll watch the health of DJ Dallas throughout the week. At the receiver position, you got Mike Williams with that high ankle sprain. Questionable for Week 14. I'm going to say more towards doubtful. Maybe Week 15, we can see Big Mike back in there. Cortland Sutton had a disappointing game yesterday with the hamstring. He ended up getting his 0 points for us. Questionable for Week 14. I think he's more Q to doubtful. Brandon Cooks, not sure what's going on here. Calf injury, questionable for Week 14. He missed yesterday. We'll monitor that. And then you have Treylon Burks, who caught his first career touchdown. It was a beautiful catch over the middle for 25 yards, and then he gets kind of a cheap shot, helmet-to-helmet hit, knocked out. I hope he can play this Week 14. There's a lot of teams on bye, so that does kind of suck, but we'll see about Treylon Burks' health. And then we got some tight ends here. Njoku, Hayden Hurst, and Juwan Johnson. I think Njoku is going to be listed as questionable with a knee. Hayden Hurst, I'm already seeing, is doubtful with a calf injury. And Juwan Johnson, he's not playing tonight, but there's a chance he could be ready for us on the other side of Week 14. So those are all the major injuries that I found scrolling through the stuff today. So let me know if there's anything I missed or if you guys have any questions on these guys. And then let's get into the quarterbacks. Before I do that, though, I didn't put the buys up here. But the bye weeks this week, let's see, you got Green Bay, Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, Indianapolis, and the New Orleans Saints. So I guess no more to worry on Juwan Johnson. They have a bye next week. So you might need a quarterback this week. So the guys on bye this week are going to be Rodgers and Justin Fields And I guess that's not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. So the guys that I'm streaming this week, of course, Kirk Cousins. He's 72% rostered on ESPN leagues. He's going to get at Detroit. That's a pretty good spot for him. I do like Trevor Lawrence. I think that's a fine spot at Tennessee. The offense didn't look very great last week, but Lawrence was still able to put up a decent enough fantasy points to salvage his day. So I expect him to bounce back against Tennessee. If you can't get Kirk or Lawrence, go with Jared Goff. The Lions offense, man, they have, I think, 6 games of over 30 fantasy points this season. So it is a pretty good offense to be invested in, and they got a lot of healthy guys on that side of the ball. So I like Jared Goff at Minnesota. Wilson, no. Daniel Jones, I don't like the matchup against Philly. Maybe Derek Carr against the Rams. The Rams just don't really seem to be carrying it all right now, so I could see Josh Jacobs just having a big game. But maybe it is a Derek Carr game. If you're interested and you miss out on Cousins, go get Derek Carr. I'll probably bold him. And then down the list here, maybe Ryan Tannehill against Jacksonville. That depends if Traylon Burks is going to play. But not the best night. The best week for quarterbacks. The guys down here that are the new starters probably the rest of the way here. John Walford for the Rams. Tyler Huntley's going to get at least a game or two, maybe more. And then Brock Purdy starting the rest of the year. So these guys are super flex plays for sure. Let me know if you have questions on the QB position. And then just some names to stash in super flex leagues. I'm not super excited about these guys, but the Packers with Jordan Love, there's a chance we end up seeing him maybe week 16, 17 during the fantasy playoffs. So check out Jordan Love for sure. Maybe monitor some of these other quarterbacks. But let's get to the running back position. Not a great list of running backs this week. Of course, the Kenneth Walker injury is the big news. But as I've looked around, let me go to the Seahawks depth chart here. I don't know who the Seahawks are going to use at running back. They have Kenneth Walker and Travis Homer both out. DJ Dallas is the next man up. Otherwise, it's Tony Jones Jr. So Pete Carroll mentioned DJ Dallas has somewhat of a high ankle sprain. So we might be getting Tony Jones Jr. starting running back for the Seahawks in week 14 here. But otherwise, the guys at the top of the list probably already owned. But if you can get Rashad White, AJ Dillon, Pacheco, P. Ryan, those guys are all must-adds for sure. Again, I mentioned J.K. Dobbins earlier. I'm fine with Cam Akers. It's not a super exciting play, but the fact that he was able to get 2 touchdowns, he had led the team in carries, had a decent yardage output. I'm fine with Cam Akers as a low-end RB2. Zonovan Knight looked really good. And if you tell me Michael Carter's not going to play week 14, I want Zonovan Knight in my lineup. So he's a guy that can really run the ball and catch the ball really, really well. I think he's very surprising and kind of a fun talent. He probably should have picked up in dynasty leagues as well. And then you got some fun offenses here. Jerick McKinnon for the Chiefs here. He caught the touchdown last night. He's going to be involved as a passing weapon. So in PPR leagues, he can be a running back too. And then James Cook, he kind of emerged against the Patriots. He led the team, I think, in snaps and total touches. He had the most yards out of the running backs. He looked really, really good. That might be more to come from him later in the second half of the season here. So I like McKinnon. I like James Cook. Farther on down the list, I mean, these guys are just kind of handcuffs. Madison, Warren, Gainwell, Mike Boone. But Ty Johnson, again, if Michael Carter's not going to play, I do like Ty Johnson. And then the handcuff Jordan Mason to Christian McCaffrey. He looked good. Like he had 50-some rushing yards. So Mason looks like a productive running back if he ever gets called up for the lion's share of the workload. And then again, we have the 2 backs here for Seattle, but I might be adding Tony Jones Jr. to the list. So it's kind of a murky situation. If I had to pick someone, and again, I'm probably not going to be picking guys off the top of the list here, maybe under 50%. I like stashing Zonovan Knight, but it's James Cook. James Cook's the guy, and I think Jerick McKinnon can be trusted in our lineups as a low-end RB2. Let's look at the wide receivers. Again, the guys at the top of the list, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about them. If they're available, get them in 12-team leagues. They do have value. But otherwise, it's Traylon Burks, under 50% rostered. We'll see if he can play this weekend. I'm hopeful he can play because he would be starting in my lineups in a couple of my teams. If not, Robert Woods would be getting the starting treatment against Jacksonville. I don't mind Robert Woods starting this week if no Traylon Burks. Otherwise, Michael Gallup needs to be rostered. He's coming around, catching 2 touchdowns yesterday, last night. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he didn't have a great receiving day. He only had 3 for 44, but dude got a punt return for a touchdown. So he's a fantastic playmaker. Maybe week 2 of Deshaun Watson looks better than week 1. Darius Slayton remains the Giants' #1 wide receiver. It's a tough matchup against the Eagles, but I think he can make some plays for us. A couple guys that are not super sexy plays, but Devin Duvernay could be good for double digits with Huntley. Miko Hardman probably going to be coming back soon. Might be worth the stash on your IR if you need someone to just kind of hold away for the playoff run. Van Jefferson, kind of a low end wide receiver one. John Dotson making plays. We will note that, and then we'll see about Julio Jones tonight if he can make a big play or two. He might be an interesting play next weekend against the 49ers. And then down here, probably my two favorite guys that are widely available. Nico Collins, he's the wide receiver one in Houston. Doesn't matter how bad they are, they're going to throw the ball. So I like Nico a lot. And then DJ Chark, about 19% rostered, had 5 for 98 yards yesterday. He's coming around. Again, that Lions offense is pretty fun. And DJ Chark, especially as a big play threat, I like what I got here. And then keep an eye on Alec Pierce, Corey Davis. These guys are both intriguing 12-team end of the bench pieces. So a couple receivers here on the list. Let me know if you guys have questions there. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the tight ends. We'll be really quick with the tight ends. Again, if you don't have Kelsey, Andrews, Kittle, Hawkinson, Pat Freiermuth, or Schultz, Everett's probably owned as well. If Dallas Goedert's available in your league, go ahead and pick him up. He's going to maybe be back for week 15 or 16. Higbee, kind of droppable right now. I'm hoping Njoku can be back and play this weekend. Otherwise, he's a nice pickup if he's out there. And then Dawson Knox, I don't know if it's happening anytime soon. Cole Kmet, though, with the injury to Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet's looking a little bit stronger. But otherwise, guys that are available, again, I think Hayden Hurst is not going to play this weekend. They have him listed as doubtful with a calf injury. You have Foster Moreau playing Thursday Night Football. He gets at least 30 yards every game. He's going to get a catch or two. He's kind of low-hanging fruit for a tight end. Maybe he catches a touchdown against the Rams. Jasicki, we can't trust in our lineups. Honestly, the best tight end play here, pickup, is going to be Greg Dulcich for the Broncos. He had a nice game last weekend. Cortland Sutton probably not going to play with that hamstring. Even if Sutton plays, I think Dulcich has kind of proven to be a useful tight end for fantasy football. So he's kind of coming back into our circles here. If you need a tight end, I like Dulcich. Conklin, we can't trust. Evan Ingram, he's hard to trust, but he had a good game last weekend, so maybe he gets on a little hot streak here. And then otherwise, just like some of these old reliable veterans, don't know if I love these guys here, but they can be used. But otherwise, it's Dulcich. He's the number one tight end pickup this week, I believe. And then we'll move on and finish up with our defenses. Again, all these defenses are highly owned, but man, the Bills are going to be great. The Cowboys are going to be the number one defense this week. The Eagles are going to be great. Maybe the Ravens are going to be great as well. And we'll see about San Francisco here. But the teams that should be available, we have Seattle versus Carolina. So I like that home matchup for Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. And then you have the Steelers against a Tyler Huntley-led Ravens. That's in Pittsburgh. I like that. And then my number one team this week is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs at Denver. Denver can't score points, so you're going to get points from there, and then probably a couple turnovers and some other things for fun. Otherwise, I mean, maybe the Bengals against Cleveland, maybe the Titans against Jacksonville. I should probably bolt that one. That one's a pretty good spot for Tennessee. So a couple defenses here I like. Let me know if you guys have questions there. And that's going to do it. The Week 14 Waiver Wire show is done. If you're new to the Fantasy Fellowship, definitely subscribe. Check out the website. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Leave comments, all that good stuff. Subscribe if you are new. And live streams, we go live on Wednesday night about 7 o'clock Central Time. On Thursday nights, I go live before the game at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And then I might do a couple various streams on Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, whenever. So I don't know. Thank you guys for your time. We'll see you in a future video. Peace.